What is up, people, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode here at the Mexican Grand Prix for round 18 of this first season. And first of all, if you are new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It will really help me out. Also, if you do want to go catch up with the whole series so far, you can do so with the card annotation in the top right hand corner of your screens. You will find the previous episode at the American Grand Prix, which was a cracker, so definitely go check that one out if you've missed it. And of course, the whole entire playlist will be up there as well. But jumping straight into the practice sessions here today to try and get as much resource points as we possibly can, smashing the track acclimatization session there, getting a purple score and 50 points added to the bank. Of course, if you don't already know, we are saving up our resource points so that we can spend them at the end of the season, so we can get a lot of upgrades for the start of season 2. And here we are now doing the tire wear management, once again not being able to get the purple score. We weren't exactly the best in terms of pace around the circuit, and neither could we get the purple score in terms of tire wear management. So we do need to sort that out over the rest of the season. But now jumping into the fuel management one as well, we managed to get a purple score on that one. So that's pretty good. So that's 50 points added to the bank. So far we've got 130 resource points from those free practice sessions. And we're way down the field in 20th position, quite a bit off the pace. Well, 1,000th of a second slower than Marcus Ericsson. But lap times, they don't really count. They don't really matter too much in the practice sessions. We come around the final corner once again now, down across the line. And we're doing the qualifying run, getting a purple score once again. So that's another 50 resource points added to the bank. So we're doing pretty well in terms of getting resource points here at the Mexican Grand Prix. Round the final corner once again, down towards the line. This should be a very simple 50 points here today. Yes, it is 50 points once again in the race strategy. So it's only really the tire wear management that we struggled on in this weekend, and that's the only place we've really dropped resource points as well. So unfortunate not to get those 20 resource points. They may be crucial at the end of the season, but at the end of the day, I will still take those very nice resource points we've got so far. And it was down in 16th place at the end of practice 2. So that's not too bad. But as I always say, lap times do not matter. The one place that they do matter is the qualifying session. So let's see how we do.
Welcome back to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit, where qualifying will begin shortly.
It's qualifying time for the Mexican Grand Prix as we come around the final corner now to end our first lap here in this Q1 session. Coming down towards the line, what's the time going to be? It's a 1:18.0, which is not too bad, but we are only just quicker than the McLarens and the Saubers. So we do need to pick up the pace. We're currently in a good position of P15, but Max Verstappen is behind us, and it is clear to see that he's going to jump us when he sets a faster lap time later on in the session. We do improve there just about, but not enough to improve on our position. So here we go through the final couple of corners now. Unfortunately, we are down on our delta time at the moment, but will it be enough of an improvement through the final corner? We're gaining time all the way, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough, and we are out of the qualifying session here. So we're out in Q1, which is really, really frustrating here today to be knocked out in the first qualifying session, not really being able to show the pace that we might have around this circuit, especially as Nico Hülkenberg is up in P9. So really struggling with the pace around this circuit. It's very close, really, from about 12th position to myself, including as well, you've got, who else is that? You've got 11th place as well, Sergio Perez, who's not too far ahead of me. So it's very close amongst us. Like, even my teammate, Nico Hülkenberg, was only about 3/10 of a second faster. So unfortunate to miss out in Q1, but it just means we're going to have a bit of fun. There might be some grid penalties to talk about as well, so we might be able to be pushed up the field a little bit as well. But what can we do from 16th on the grid? Let's find out as we head over to the race for the Mexican Grand Prix.
And joining me amongst the cheers of the phenomenal Mexican fans, it's Anthony Davidson. And welcome along to this historic circuit. What an occasion this is.
Yeah, it's hard to believe when you see the passion this country has for the sport that Formula One was away from Mexico for so long. It's fantastic to be here, and let's hope that the race lives up to the party atmosphere we've got going. It's a real fast track, this. We get up to Monza levels of speed down the main straight thanks to the high altitude here at over 2,000 metres above sea level. And with that comes the challenge of having less downforce in the corners. So that makes it a really demanding circuit, both for the drivers and engineers.
Before we get into today's race, though, let's take a look at the starting grid for the Mexican Grand Prix. And lining up in pole position, it is Valtteri Bottas right to the front of the grid with Daniel Ricciardo alongside him on the front row. On the second row, Sergio Perez and Danny Kvyat in fourth place. That's myself in fifth with Pascal Wehrlein up there in sixth place. We've got Lewis Hamilton in seventh, Marcus Ericsson eighth, Max Verstappen in ninth, Lance Stroll in 10th, Fernando Alonso 11th, and Sebastian Vettel, the championship leader, down in 12th. Nico Hülkenberg 13th, Van Dorn 14th, Grosjean 15th, Massa 16th, Magnussen 17th, Kimi Raikkonen, another championship contender, way down in 18th place with Carlos Sainz and Esteban Ocon right at the back of the field. So once again, there are a lot of grid penalties to talk about in this race. Really, since the Malaysian Grand Prix, we've always had grid penalties upsetting the field, which means qualifying doesn't exactly mean too much in this series at the moment, but it's still good to try and get into the top 10 shootouts. We have a look at the race strategy for today, and I think I'm going to go for the super soft. I think that's the best strategy to go for this race. I may change it around depending on how good I am on my tyres, but I'm going to go for the recommended pit stop based on our tyre management test. So I feel like that's going to be the best one to go for. But here we go, getting the Mexican Grand Prix underway as we go to 5. Red lights. It is lights out, and away we go for the Mexican Grand Prix. Held for a little bit longer than we usually do at today's race, but straight away moving over to the right-hand side to try and defend from Lewis Hamilton. He's very quick right on my tail to go for the attack on Danny Kvyat. Now down in towards turn 1. Can we go around the outside? We've got Lewis Hamilton on our left-hand side as well. We've also got to try and see whether we can get past Daniel Ricciardo. Unfortunately, we can't, but a good exit out of turn 3 and some good straight line speed all the way down to turn 4 may give us an opportunity to go for the overtake on the Red Bull drivers. Here we go on the left-hand side, up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. This is for a podium position on the first lap of this Mexican Grand Prix, straight for the apex, sort of squeezing out Daniel Ricciardo there, but unfortunately we had to run it a little bit too wide into that corner, but nevertheless we get the job done and we move up into third place. At the moment we are on the podium for today's Mexican Grand Prix. I feel like we are going to be able to catch up to Sergio Perez as well. It is a straight line speed circuit, especially through the first sector, but through the second sector it's very tight and twisty, and that is where our car is going to come into our own. That's where we're going to be able to maybe get the jump on Sergio Perez, but at the moment we are on the back of him. We have got DRS on the Force India drivers. Here we go, down in towards turn 1. Can we do anything on the Force India driver? Moving over to the right-hand side, going for a bit of a dive bomb up the inside of Sergio Perez, but he breaks later than me down into the first corner. A little bit of contact between the two of us, but he gets the job done in towards turn 2 and turn 3. So now we need a good exit out of turn 3, some DRS, some slipstream, all the way in towards turn 4, and we once more may have the opportunity to go for the overtake on Sergio Perez. Here we go, diving up the inside onto the Force India driver, very late on the brakes, but we get the car turned in, and there we go, moving up into second position for today's Mexican Grand Prix. That's absolutely fantastic. Not only did we start very high up on the grid thanks to the grid penalties, but we're actually quite competitive in terms of the other drivers around us. We've overtaken Ricciardo and we've also overtaken Sergio Perez. We now cut ahead to lap 9 of this Mexican Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas finally comes into the pits there. He was leading the race on those ultra soft tyres, so he had a bit of a gap to us, but we've now taken the lead of this Mexican Grand Prix because we are on a different strategy. But that means that we are now under pressure from Valtteri Bottas, who is on another set of ultra soft tyres. We've locked up massively as we come into the stadium section. That gives Valtteri Bottas the opportunity to go round the outside into the hairpin at the stadium section, but the better grip from those ultra soft tyres gets him the job done around the outside, and he moves into the lead of the race once more. Now we're under pressure from Sebastian Vettel, but he's going to come into the pits, so we don't have to worry about him anymore. We can sort of settle for second position in this race at the moment. And right now, I'm actually pushing these super soft tyres a little bit longer than they usually go, mainly because I want to try and extend this pit stop and go for ultra softs at the end of the race. I did feel quite good on these tyres. So we go in towards the final corner now. We should be coming into the pits on this lap, which we do. So pitting from second place at the moment in the Mexican Grand Prix. It's been a really good race for us so far. We managed to get ourselves up into second, and for now we are holding on to it. But we're on a different strategy compared to some of the top teams. We do have to be aware of that, as we've just been overtaken by Lewis Hamilton there. So he's moved up into second place. We're probably going to come out around the midfield area because, of course, we are doing a different strategy. The guys who have pitted before us have had a massive undercut on us at the moment. So whereabouts are we going to come out in the pit stop phase? It's going to be P8 at the moment, and just behind Sergio Perez, we've got Kimi Raikkonen and Felipe Massa going side by side down in towards turn 1. Those two guys may have a run on me in towards turn 4. Of course, Kimi Raikkonen is going to get slipstream and DRS on me because he did have DRS on Felipe Massa. So here goes Kimi Raikkonen on the back of me at the moment. Down in towards turn 4. What can the Ferrari man do? He moves over to the left-hand side. He's going to get the inside line. Down in towards turn 4. Going to try and brake later than the Ferrari driver. Up the inside in towards turn 5. And there we go. Getting the job done. Getting the car turned in as well. And we hold on to P8 for the time being. Kimi Raikkonen just having to hold off right now. Felipe Massa right on his tail as well. But I feel like it's only going to be a matter of time before the Ferrari man gets past us. Of course, the Ferraris, the Mercedes, and the Red Bulls are just too quick for us at this moment in this first season of the career mode. Here goes the Ferrari, though, of Kimi Raikkonen. He's on the back of me at the moment, using slipstream and DRS to his advantage. It should be a fairly simple move there for Kimi Raikkonen on the right-hand side, which it is. It's side by side at the moment, though. Maybe Kimi Raikkonen hasn't got the straight line speed, but he's much better under brakes thanks to those ultra-soft tyres, and that gets him the job done. We're not really going to fight him too much, of course. We do want to try and get the best result possible, but at the same time, we don't want to lose too much time battling guys which are just way too quick for us, and there is no chance we're going to be able to hold on to that position. We're much better off if we try and defend a position from the likes of the Force Indias and the Williams cars. We're now watching on board this battle between Daniel Ricciardo, Sergio Perez, and Kimi Raikkonen for 4th position at the moment. Daniel Ricciardo leading this train right now. I'm not too far away from it, though. Probably about a second behind Kimi Raikkonen, maybe a bit less at the moment. Going down in towards turn 1. Sergio Perez goes up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. Can he get the job done on the Red Bull man? I'm thinking that maybe that Red Bull has got some problems in this race. He struggled at the start, and now he's possibly going to get overtaken by a Force India. Even though that Force India is very quick down the straights, especially around this circuit, so that might be the reason why it might struggle quite a bit through the corners. The yellow flag has come out for some strange reason. Sergio Perez is out of today's race. He pulls over to the left-hand side, and he is unfortunately out of today's race because of a mechanical issue. Sort of got held up a little bit there by Sergio Perez as I tried to have a look around the outside of Kimi Raikkonen because I just thought he was slowing down. I didn't realise that Perez was moving over to the left-hand side till the last minute, and luckily I managed to avoid him and not go into the back of the Force India driver. But now we are cutting ahead to lap 20 of this Mexican Grand Prix. We're coming under a little bit of pressure at the moment from Lewis Hamilton, who moves over to the right-hand side. He's going to get the inside line down in towards turn 1. We're not going to fight him too much at all. We may brake late and see what we can do around the outside, but I don't think we're going to do so. No, we don't. We brake early. We allow Lewis Hamilton to have that position. I know some of you guys don't like it, how I don't really defend too much against some of the AI drivers, but there really is no point battling with, well, especially the Mercedes and the Ferrari. Maybe we can have a bit of a battle with the Red Bull drivers at some circuits and maybe have the chance to sort of get the better of those guys. But really with the Ferraris and the Mercedes, at the end of the day, they are going to beat us. As we caught up a little bit there to Daniel Ricciardo, but he comes into the pits now as we move up into P5. And I think Vettel is into the pits as well, which he is. So there we go, moving up into 4th position now for this Mexican Grand Prix. So now that means we're going to come under pressure once again from some of these guys. Sebastian Vettel is all over my tail here on lap 24 of this Mexican Grand Prix. And once again, I'm not really going to fight him too much unless we go side by side into turn 1. Of course, I'm going to try and defend my position, but here goes Sebastian Vettel on the back of me at the moment. We're actually defending very, very strongly down in towards turn 1. It might be because I prefer a better championship fight at the end of the season. So, of course, if Raikkonen and Hamilton beat Vettel in this race, we get sort of squeezed off the track there by Sebastian Vettel. But to be fair to him, we did go straight for the apex through turn 3, so that wasn't really Vettel's fault at all. More my own fault for squeezing out Vettel, giving him no room at all. So, you know, rightly so that he was going to take that position and not be able to make the complete corner and sort of force me out wide. So that was my own fault. A little bit too aggressive there on the Ferrari man. It kind of, you know, came back to bite me as I ran off the circuit. Now coming under pressure from Max Verstappen, as we're currently still in P4. A few guys have pitted in this race again. So now we're battling for P4 once again. Max Verstappen on the left-hand side, going down in towards this left-hander. We are going to fight the Red Bull driver as much as we possibly can. We do want to hold this position, as there's a little bit of contact there between two of us. Contact once again and again. Me and Max Verstappen just can't stay away from each other. And again, we're just banging wheels all the way through this corner. It's like dodgems at the moment as Max Verstappen finally gets the job done coming into the S's section. Of course, we're not going to be able to defend against Max Verstappen through the S's section. The force, the downforce that Red Bull has is absolutely phenomenal. So there's no point defending against those guys through the corners. But now we're coming under pressure from Kimi Raikkonen. This is the battle for 4th position once again. So another driver has come into the pits now. And Kimi Raikkonen goes up the inside. Very similar to what Max Verstappen did on the previous couple of laps. Once again, contact with the Ferrari driver through turn 5. But can we keep it clean through turn 6 and turn 7? Looks like we can do so side by side with Kimi Raikkonen. But that better traction and the better grip that Ferrari has out of that corner just gives him the position. And he moves up into P4 for the time being. There's no point really trying to fight him anymore. He's just so quick, especially through the corners. The Ferrari is very quick through the corners on this game, as we're now currently in P5 for this Mexican Grand Prix. So it is still a really, really good position to be up into P5. Of course, the best position that we can really hope for if everybody finishes the race is sort of P7. That's sort of the best of the midfield, guys. We've got Lewis Hamilton on our tail at the moment, but we won't really be too worried about him in this race anymore, as we are deciding to come into the pits in this Mexican Grand Prix for the final 9 laps of this race. We're going onto a set of ultra soft tyres, and we're going to take these all the way to the end, so which means that we are going to drop down a little bit in the field, but we can push like hell and try and work our way back through the field on these ultra soft tyres, make a few overtakes and see what we can do. So 2.5 second pit stop there from the Renault crew, but whereabouts is that gonna put us? Danny Kvyat gets past us on the left-hand side. Anybody else going for the overtake? No, they don't. We come out in P9, but Nico Hülkenberg just ahead of Nico Hülkenberg at the moment, but he's going to have better straight line speed, a better run down in towards turn 1. It might be side by side between the two of us, which it is. Wheel to wheel action between me and my teammate, nearly making contact through turn 1, round the outside of turn 2, inside of turn 3, and just that better grip that we've got from the fresh ultra soft tyres gets the job done, and we hold on to P9 for this race. Can Nico Hülkenberg come back me in towards turn 4? No, he cannot. And there we go, holding on to 9th position in today's race. We'll also be looking to hunt down now Danny Kvyat and Kevin Magnussen ahead of us, who are having their own little battle out on track. Kevin Magnussen trying to defend from the Toro Rosso drive. You can see me in the background at the moment. It looks like Danny Kvyat may go for the overtake down in towards turn 1, right on the back, using that toe and slipstream and DRS all the way down to turn 1. He's got the job done, but he locks up massively down into turn 1, holds up Kevin Magnussen. We get the car turned in for turn 1, and wow, Danny Kvyat nearly turning straight into the side of me in today's race. That could have been our race over. That was so close to being race over there from Danny Kvyat. He came at me like a torpedo. He literally just came at me like a torpedo through turn 2 there. But let's have a look at replay on board with Danny Kvyat. So he goes up the inside, down in towards turn 1, and then he just completely messes up his braking point, locks up both front tyres, can't get the car turned in because Kevin Magnussen decides to turn into him, and then just look at that, just goes straight for the, the wider exit, or the sort of inside line of turn 1, and nearly goes straight into the side of me. So I don't know what on earth Danny Kvyat was doing there. Maybe he was just really aggressively trying to defend his position against me, and that nearly cost both of us our own race. There's a replay on board with Kevin Magnussen, who unfortunately was in 7th place and now is running down in P9. He'll be hoping that Danny Kvyat has got a penalty for that, but I'm not too sure, as now we have a look at replay on board with myself. We come down in towards this right hand, and just look at Danny Kvyat on the left hand side, nearly, very nearly taking me out there in today's race. And that, honestly, that could have been race over. If he made the right contact, that could have been race over here today, as we're now watching on board with the McLaren of Fernando Alonso. He goes through the final corner at the moment. He's under a little bit of pressure from a Sauber driver behind him, so be hoping to keep him behind him for the foreseeable future as they go down in towards turn 1. This very, very long start-finish straight. It just goes on for eternity, as it looks like Alonso's slowing down. He's got a puncher somewhere. Is that a front right or a rear right? I believe it's a rear right. Yes, rear right puncher, unfortunately, there for Fernando Alonso. Oh, that's got to be frustrating for the Ferrari man to be so slow. He was doing better than his teammate, not quite at the back of the field, sort of doing the best of the back markers, and unfortunately that's going to put him all the way to the back of the field, and he has to do a whole lap now on that puncher's set of tyres, doing about 60 miles an hour max, which has got to be really, really frustrating. So we're watching this battle now for 3rd position as Raikkonen goes for the overtake on Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton looks to try and get involved as well, and they both got the job done on Max Verstappen. Both cars so much quicker than the Red Bull, all the way down to turn 1. Kimi Raikkonen moving up into P3, Lewis Hamilton up into P4, and Max Verstappen unfortunately dropping down into P5, losing 2 positions second in the space of one straight. Fernando Alonso is weaving all over the place in the background, still trying to get back to the start-finish straight with that punch, and we're actually going to gain on him now and go for the overtake lap. Fernando Alonso, there he is on our right-hand side, just going so slowly in today's Mexican Grand Prix as we go through the S's section. At the moment, the virtual safety car has been deployed. Okay, so the virtual safety car has been deployed in today's race. That's not really going to affect us too much. We're a little bit too far away from Daniel Ricciardo to really push on. We are quicker than Danny Kvyat at the moment. So we watch this battle now for third position. It was going to happen. We saw these two very close to each other after they overtook Max Verstappen. Of course, the virtual safety car saved Kimi Raikkonen for one lap. But here goes Lewis Hamilton. Of course, these two guys are battling in the championship as well. Sebastian Vettel will be leading the championship after today's race. He's currently in second place at the moment. We've got Lewis Hamilton in fourth, who would like to get past Kimi Raikkonen to really bet his chances of catching up to Sebastian Vettel in the final two races. Looks like Lewis Hamilton is sort of on the back foot in terms of the championship, but he goes up the inside, down in towards turn 4. He's got the job done momentarily, but Kimi Raikkonen comes back at him through turn 5, side by side, still between these two championship contenders through turn 7, down into the S's section of turn 8. Looks like Lewis Hamilton has got the job done this time around, but they still are going wheel to wheel through the S's section. This is incredible racing between the two championship contenders. Lewis Hamilton, unfortunately, loses out through the exit of the S's section. The downforce on that Ferrari is greater than the Mercedes, but the Mercedes has a straight line speed as he goes up the inside, down into the stadium section, holds the inside line. Can he get the job done into the hairpin? Yes, he can. Lewis Hamilton, job done up into P3, which means he now closes in a little bit on Kimi Raikkonen in the championship. He is still way off of Sebastian Vettel's points at the moment. 24 points, I believe, is the gap between those two drivers, or maybe, no, 26 points, sorry, is the gap between Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Raikkonen. Kimi Raikkonen, unfortunately, dropping down into P4, and that allows Max Verstappen to get involved in this battle as well, to go down in towards turn 1. Kimi Raikkonen may have a chance once again to go for the overtake. Yes, he does. Up the inside now of Lewis Hamilton, and again, these two drivers going side by side. Nothing to separate them at the moment. Kimi Raikkonen on the right-hand side. I think Lewis Hamilton has got the job done around the outside of turn 3, down in towards turn 4. Kimi Raikkonen, can he get the job done into turn 4? Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he can, and Lewis Hamilton finally gets up into P3 and onto the podium for the Mexican Grand Prix, and up a few more points for the championship, which is really going to help him out in terms of the final couple of races. But you've got to just admire this guy. Valtteri Bottas here today has had an unbelievable race. He's been untouchable, absolutely untouchable at the Mexican Grand Prix, and he's going to come round the final corner now. Valtteri Bottas wins the Mexican Grand Prix by an absolute mile compared to anybody else. He was untouched. To be fair, Sebastian Vettel was not too far behind him. I'll give Sebastian Vettel that. That really is a good run from him, from the championship leader there, to be not too far away from Valtteri Bottas at the end of the day. But still, Valtteri Bottas has had pretty much nothing to deal with. He's only really had to overtake guys when he's come into the pits, as Vettel crosses the line in second. Lewis Hamilton does get that podium position in the end, with Kimi Raikkonen in fourth. Then you've got Max Verstappen in fifth place and Daniel Ricciardo in sixth. It's very nice to see here at the Mexican Grand Prix the confetti spraying as you go through the stadium section. But through the final corner now for our race, we are the best of the midfield drivers, as we're going to come home for a fantastic 7th position at the Mexican Grand Prix. A brilliant race then up and down the field. We saw battles everywhere. That battle between Kimi Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton was just incredible, lasting well over a lap between those two drivers. And a 7th place for myself and an 8th place for Nico Hülkenberg as well really puts the cherry on top. A great drive from both myself and Nico Hülkenberg. But Valtteri Bottas was untouchable here today, getting the race win. He did the 3-stop strategy, so he did one more stop than Sebastian Vettel, and he still managed to win the race by 4 seconds. That's absolutely incredible there from Valtteri Bottas. Amazing job done from him. 25 points picked up, but the championship leader extends his lead at the top after a disastrous race back in America, getting that DNF He's going to be really happy to get the 18 points here today, ahead of Lewis Hamilton and ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, who finished 3rd and 4th. Then we have Max Verstappen, who finishes in 5th, with his teammate Daniel Ricciardo behind him in 6th place. Unfortunately, we just didn't have the pace to catch up to those guys. We did set a faster lap than them, but just didn't have the pace at the end to really catch up to him and really challenge both of those drivers. Nico Hülkenberg finishes behind me in 8th place, but with Danny Kvyat in 9th in the end after making that mistake very late on in the race. And we have Lance Stroll getting the final championship point here today. Kevin Magnussen, unfortunately, finishing outside the points after that collision with Danny Kvyat. Esteban Ocon in 12th and Romain Grosjean in 13th. Further down the field then, and we have Felipe Massa in 14th, Carlos Sainz 15th, Pascal Wehrlein in 16th, then Stoffel Van Dorn in 17th, Marcus Ericsson 18th, Fernando Alonso with that puncher 2 laps down in 19th position, and then we have the only DNF for this race here today, which was unfortunately Sergio Perez. Drivers' Championship then, after 18 rounds of this season, Sebastian Vettel extends his lead over Kimi Raikkonen to 11 points in the championship. Lewis Hamilton at the moment is 26 points behind Sebastian Vettel, so he needs to beat the championship leader in the next race in Brazil, otherwise his championship hopes are over for this season. But it is still very, very close though between those 3 drivers, and the way this season has gone, literally any one of those 3 can win the championship. We are currently still holding on to P7, gaining more points on Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez here today. It's looking quite comfortable that we are going to hold on to this P7, but like I say, anything can happen in this season. There could be a shock result for both Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez, so they could easily overtake us over the course of the rest of the season. And finally, taking a look at the Constructors' standings, and Renault have overtaken Force India here today, which is absolutely incredible. We've overtaken Force India, and we are now up into 4th place. And I can also confirm that Ferrari are now the Constructors' World Champions. It is impossible for Mercedes to get enough points in the final 2 races to overcome Ferrari. So Ferrari are the Constructors' Champions for this first season of career mode, so well done to them. But that is it for the Mexican Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed this episode, don't forget to smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for daily Formula 1 content, and don't forget to share this video with your friends, and also leave a comment down below, what did you guys think of today's race, and I'll see you next time for the penultimate round of Season 1 at the Brazilian Grand Prix. But until then, it's goodbye from me.